do you think Svenskeren and Golden Glue will see time in this series? Or rather, what situation has to happen in order for them to get time in this series?
I think that it's super interesting, this specific series, because Golden Glue has actually been good against Bjergsen and against TSM.
I think there's a good chance that they're going to see some play. You know, if you're down 0-2, why not try it?
Putting in Golden Glue when they're already down and one more loss means they're out of the playoffs doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. But I still think if you start Jensen Blobber and you get slammed 2 games in a row, not saying that's going to happen.
You would still put
but it would still be worth trying to mix something up.
Job is fine. We're gonna use the 49 Zven from now. And let's go. Let's get it, bro.
Stay around that time. Just be proactive and safe.
To put in context how important this game is, Golden Glue, his first game was in 2014. He subbed in for Skara on Team Dignitas. This is his 5th year as a pro, and this is the most important game of his life. Up against Bjergsen, down 2-1 in the semifinals.
Svenskeren, remember, was kind of booted off TSM at the start of the year. So this is kind of a Svenskeren redemption story as well.
Hey, I'm a flash in a class of my own, a disaster with thoughts overblown. I'm massacre average crap with a
Welcome back, and hello, Oakland! Please join me in welcoming your Summer Split MVP, Doublelift!
just deleted as a triple kill comes up for Doublelift. White is very low as they enter in. A draw indeed as the guns come out. And Doublelift goes crazy with the rest of the team. But he actually pumps the stop button, gonna drive home on time for the fight. That shot rushing in. There's the ult to Doublelift, but Doublelift still living. They need to kill the Kai'Sa, but Doublelift will he's still alive.
Doublelift, it's about damn time that you are taking this home.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this one for a while.
I mean, you have become one of the most recognizable players in the entire LCS. What does it mean to you now that you've finally taken this?
Well, every year, I guess, I've been feeling like, you know, maybe this is the year I'll get it. Maybe this is the year I'll get it. Then Rush got it, and then Bjergsen got it like 7 times in a row. And then I feel like, you know, there's really no one to blame. If I played better, then I would have got it. So, you know, this year, it was really hard. I got booted off the team. I got on a new team, a team with no record of winning anything. So, yeah, you know, it's just time for me to step up. So I'm really grateful for this chance. And like, I couldn't have done it without any of my teammates. I feel like my teammates right now, they put a lot of faith in me, and they put a lot of their resources and trust in me. So, you know, I couldn't have done it without them.
And I mean, at the beginning of the year, you sent out that tweet that you were gonna be the hardest working player in the scene. Where is that determination to be the best coming from?
I don't know, I'm just getting started.
Just getting started. Well, you say that, but whenever you take the stage, everyone's eyes are always locked on you, waiting for you to trash talk, waiting for you to make an amazing play. As you are right now, do you think you're the best player in NA?
Yeah, of course.
Earlier, you gave a shout out to your team. It is a team game, and you're just a part of it. You now have this new team and this entire org backing you up. So what makes Team Liquid different from anything else that you've been a part of?
I think before I joined this team, I was never really a part of a team. I was just a part of like a group of people who just wanted to, like, yeah, they had similar goals, but everyone had a different idea of how to get there. You know, we want to win, but like 5 people, 5 different ways of getting there. Our team, we have the same goal. We want to win. We all know that we're going to take the same path to get there. And so I feel like this team, everyone puts so much kind of effort in and so much respect for each other. We work through our problems, you know, we fight all the time, but like at the end of the day, I think we know like we're not going to get anywhere if we're not on the same page. And we're in the same boat together for a really long time. So we got to get there.
And you have back-to-back championships. Tomorrow, for the potential, you play Cloud9. How do you think that match is going to go?
I'm gonna smash them.
Gonna smash him. Doublelift, congratulations again on winning. Back to the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli, and congratulations once more to Doublelift, a much-deserved MVP. Feels like this one's been a long time coming. He kind of ran through the history of it himself, watching other people just slightly surpass him at times for this award. And I really think that that paints kind of the picture of how much it does mean for him to have been so close for so long and finally to get it.
Yeah, and I feel like for a long time, people have talked about, Bjergsen as the best LCS player of all time. And I think Doublelift is starting to really check some of those boxes to get into that conversation or maybe be at the top of that conversation, winning an MVP. If he wins tomorrow, he would tie Bjergsen with 5 championships. So really just such an impressive career. And he does seem to keep on getting better.
And I think for this split in particular, you heard him talking about how many resources his team gives him. I think for this split, I don't think any team relied on a single player more and then succeeded as much. So he was the primary focus on the #1 team in the league.
He's still got a big matchup tomorrow to help cement that title and the legacy that he hopes to leave here in North America, though he claims he's just getting started. So I'd like to see how long he can keep that one running. Turning our attention back to TSM versus 100 Thieves. I want to know, on the big stage today, what are these teams' win conditions? And Jat, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, I got to do 100 Thieves for this one, and I think it's really important that they can get to 25 minutes with even gold, because that's where I think their communication strengths with Aphromoo can get them a victory, whereas that's where TSM starts to get a little bit weaker. To get there, power pick mid lane, Ryze and Malzahar are great for Ryu. I want Onda to play fast farming junglers. Trundle can work, but they're going to get a lot better to late game if they're doing something like Graves or Kindred. And please, 100 Thieves, pick blue side. Their record on blue side is so much better than on red, and I don't think they've utilized counter picks well at all this year.
Those are the thoughts for 100 Thieves. Mark, you had TSM.
Yeah, and it's not always about game day win conditions. Start hoping early on that Rikara is going to come in, and he's going to be starting. So there we go.
There it is. Check
Already
the first box.
done for TSM. Here, give Bjergsen some agency. You heard about it on Assassins. I think Syndra is another champion that can call her own number and make a lot of plays, so that's always great. And Ryze would be one, but I want TSM to limit the 1-3-1 options. Anything that can split push against you, don't let, I think what a lot of people agree as 100 Thieves superior macro to get off the ground with something like a Ryze and a Gnar. I don't love the mages bottom. I think they can work, and against some teams that you're more disadvantaged against, I can see it, but I would actually prefer to see him on a late game carry so Zven can actually take over some of these games. And then finally ban Malzahar. It's just such a great neutralizer. I don't want to see Bjergsen getting taken out of the game.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest questions coming into this series is how hard can Bjergsen carry, which is why it's so important to take away things like Malzahar and maybe even Galio and Zilean, champions that can somewhat neutralize him in the mid lane, because we've seen his stats on some of these assassins, on Aurelia, on these aggressive picks. He has been unreal, and if he can get going, he can take over the game solo.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that. Finds Sticks A, blows him up. And that's what you want to see from Bjergsen, is that when he is on a control mage and these kinds of things, and I think to this point, TSM synergy is still lacking. When you don't need to rely on someone to set up plays like these that we're seeing, it allows him so much more control over how the game plays. I love control mages as much as the next person, but I don't think TSM is functioning quite on the level where you're going to always want a team fight front to back.
Yeah, and I think for TSM to win this series, they kind of have to blow 100 Thieves out of the water. A big part of that would be Bjergsen getting really far ahead on an assassin.
All right, well, so then I'm going to go ahead and just push that a little bit further to get some more concrete specifics on the idea of what happens when it goes late. We talk about the macro game, maybe superior macro game of 100 Thieves in 1-3-1, but we know that not all games end in a 1-3-1 split push. They can just come into a ball and fight 5v5, and in that sense, does TSM have the tools to stack up?
I think they do. I think their backline carry potential with Zven and Bjergsen is plenty, and I think 100 Thieves sometimes do struggle in late game team fights. The last time they matched, that's kind of where the game went, and so that's why I don't want to see the Swain right away, which feels a little bit more early game focused on snowballing, which TSM aren't great at to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like if it comes down to a 5v5 and you're looking at the carries, it's a marksman-focused game. You have Rikara on one side, Zven on the other. Who would you rather have?
I'll take Cody's son as well, and because it is a 5-game series.
Door number 3.
Rikara's starting game 1. Prolly's already said that Cody's son can come in later in the series, unlike in the semifinals. So even though I think Zven is probably the best choice for late game AD carry, it's 5 people on both sides, and you got to be able to communicate. And that's where I think 100 Thieves has actually thrived in games where they're even and ahead at 25 minutes. They're 12-4, right? That's actually kind of crazy. And even when they're ahead at 20, still 13-7, and those are even or ahead. Some of those games are completely neck and neck.
Right.
And TSM, they've gone to a lot of late games that are even, and then you see Echo Fox killing their Nexus because TSM doesn't know how to recall the right people and the communication falls apart. So that's where I think 100 Thieves actually wins late.
Yeah, the margin for error gets, lessened and lessened and lessened when you get into those later stages of the game. And 100 Thieves has shown that they can show composure with Aphromoo at the helm in those moments. When it comes to the strengths of 100 Thieves, though, mid to late game shot calling was one of the things that Mithy actually cited going into his match.
When it comes to late game mid to late game decision making, they're all very coordinated. I don't really know who's in charge of that, but it definitely feels like it's Aphromoo. And yeah, I think he's a great player. He's a great playmaker too, and it'll be exciting for me to play against what I would say is probably the best support in NA.
So alignment there from Mithy to what we think when it comes to the matchup in the shot calling perspective. But one other curiosity I have with 100 Thieves is while we talk about maybe Ryu's responsibility being neutralizing the mid lane, that means they're going to have to find advantages in bot or top. And so where is the answer for 100 Thieves? Where should they be playing?
I think they actually don't play super well to the top side. I think Ssumday's at his best when they give him some kind of counter pick and then they kind of let him go off on his own. And he's done that time after time this split. So I think he has the tools to do it himself, but I don't think the team necessarily will play around it.
And he can enable them playing through bot lane because oftentimes he is kind of that pressure valve on the top side of the map that allows them to get to the late game where Cody Sun or Rikara or whoever could shine.
Yeah, and in game one, I think they will be playing through top lane like they tried to do against Team Liquid. But throughout the series, I think they're going to be playing more through Cody Sun unless the Rikara through topside works. And that's the thing with Ssumday is he can actually play both. I think the team works best when they're playing through bot.
All right, there you have it. With those factors in mind, who's going to come out on top here on our first day in the Oracle Arena down the line? Mark, we're starting with you.
I mean, we all talked about this on the dive a little bit. We'll see if anyone's changed their minds. I haven't. I stay consistent. I'm going 3-2 TSM.
3-2 TSM call, but it's a close series. Isaiah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Mark here. I'm going to say 3-2 TSM. I think Bjergsen is too strong in the mid lane. I don't think that you can shut him down in this series.
All right, Jat, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I'm the contrarian in this one because I think that it's too easy to forget that 100 Thieves has the Spring Split MVP, was second place in Spring Split, and also was a higher seed before the playoffs as the 3 seed in this. I'm taking 100 Thieves 3-2, even though I said that was only if they're starting Cody. After talking to Prawley, knowing that they're utilizing the 2 different looks of whether they're starting with Rikara or Cody, I think it's going to be Cody for a lot of the series, and then I still think they can pull it out.
It was a factor in his decision. How did the idea of a Rikara versus Cody substitution situation factor into your guys' call?
For me, even the fact that they used Rikara all the way through semis, they didn't even bring Cody Sun to the studio, that he wasn't even an option, tells me that there's some issues going on in the team, that they weren't even having him there as a backup plan, made me feel like they don't really want to play with him that much, or there's some issues within the team, and that kind of hurts my confidence in their play.
Especially in such a close series that, like, if you do have those kinds of problems coming up, like if you do lose first game, and maybe, 100 Thieves would be favored if they started with Cody, but they're not starting with him. And so for me, that's where the problem lies, is that there is still that first game where I think it actually is in TSM's favor pretty heavily.
Yeah, right. You talked about, I know it was for the Team Liquid C9 matchup, but that the idea that while you think it could be a close series, there's also the potential for, like, if one weakness is discovered and exploited, we could see things end very quickly.
Yeah, and to Azael's point, if things are blown up behind closed doors for 100 Thieves, then they could actually just get demolished by the experience of Bjergsen, Hauntzer, Zven, and Mithy on that stage.
Yeah, I actually don't think it'll be one of those series where something breaks. I think we're in for a really long series just based on how these two teams play, and that's why not having Cody Sun in from the beginning scares me.
All right, so you ready for 5 games then?
I'm always ready for 5 games.
You predicted it. I'm ready for 5 games. Hopefully everyone here is as well. With that, it's time for us to get down onto the stage, meet our competitors for the 3rd place match in the Oracle Arena.
Every game counts. No one wants to go on stage and lose.
100 Thieves is just a very standard team that plays for late game, plays for team fights. To beat them, we just need to be better at team fighting than them. We need to be better at engaging. We need to be better at mechanics and communication in team fighting.
So TSM, the team lead just like to make map plays, and then Bjergsen on call life, hella scary.
Winning yet again, a triple kill for Bjergsen.
I think winning the 3rd place match just gives a lot of momentum if we are to play 100 Thieves again in the gauntlet. And that gives both confidence to us and obviously makes them more nervous going into playing us again.
Hello, Oakland! It is good
good to be back in the Bay. Hello, Internet, as well. Welcome to the 2018 NALCS Summer Split Finals Weekend. Awesome crowd. It's time to meet our two teams playing today. Up first, the Spring Split finalists. Give it up for 100 Thieves! Their jungler, Anda! In the mid lane, Ryu. Their bot laners, Rikara and Cody Sun. Voted by his peers as the best top laner in North America, it's Ssumday! And your Spring Split MVP, first team all NALCS support and birthday boy, it's Aphromoo! Battling them today is the winningest team in NALCS history. Give it up for TSM! In the jungle, Grig. NALCS third team bot laner, Zven. Their support, Mithy. In the top lane, Hauntzer. And four-time NALCS MVP, give it up for Bjergsen! Oakland, let's hear it one more time for TSM and 100 Thieves! Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Freak. My name is Pastry Time. Joining me is Kobe and Zyrene, and boy, oh boy, is this the way to kick things off here for NALCS Finals Weekend.
Super exciting, being back in the Bay Area, watching North America's best teams battle it out on this stage. Definitely going in for a good one.
Yeah, and you talk about TSM, Bay life, the way that they started, right? Way back. We're talking 7-ish years, 8-ish years at this point. And TSM back in kind of home territory, I would say, is a really good feeling for them.
Yeah, as Freak said, one of North America's longest standing teams and most successful teams versus 100 Thieves, very clearly the most successful new organization, second place in spring, third place in summer, and this one is definitely going to be exciting.
Yeah, second place in spring, potential for third place here in summer, but also very, very close to going to Worlds in their freshman year, right? It actually depends on who wins tomorrow or if they end up winning. So they're basically a best-of-5 decider at worst of going to Worlds.
But they'll likely have to play these guys again, so certainly a lot on the line. Even if you're just thinking ahead to, okay, we need to make sure things go well for the Gauntlet, but we know the teams are focusing on the match at hand. And I think, as you sort of mentioned there, Zareen, for TSM, they are a team that has always been known for winning, but not this year. And finally, on this sort of stage, they'll have a chance to prove it again.
And you mentioned the Gauntlet, Pastry. Both these teams know that even after this match, their work may not be done. 100 Thieves have a possibility of playing in it, depending on Team Liquid and Cloud9. And TSM, they want to win this match to get a better spot in the Gauntlet and better form going into that important competition.
Yeah, form means a lot. You heard Bjergsen talk about it. Third place match is a lot about momentum going into the Gauntlet for them. They can't qualify for Worlds off of championship points. They would have to go through the Gauntlet, and also skipping Clutch. Clutch is the team that beat them in spring, made them miss their first finals ever, and so you definitely want to miss that team and pass them or have somebody like Echo Fox take care of them ahead of time.
Yep, even though it is finals weekend here for both these teams, their work will likely not be done throughout the rest of the year, so we'll have to see what they show for us here. And I think it is interesting that the analyst desk kind of thought it would be such a close series because stylistically, these teams actually do feel quite similar.
Yeah, they do have very longish games, getting more towards the mid and late game, the team fighting. As they said themselves, engage is going to be very big. So in Champion Select, we are going to feel like pretty similar priorities.
Yeah, similar in terms of how long the game should go for them, but very different in terms of how they do it champion-wise. Bjergsen on a lot of Assassins, they don't usually play the 1-3-1 unless he's somebody who's going to be jumping into the fights later. And then Ssumday has just been somebody where you can give him resources and he'll flourish, but you can leave him out to dry and he's going to make an advantage out of nothing.
Well, here's our first champ select of Oakland here, and you can see 100 Thieves already shutting some of that down. Akali, their first ban overall in the draft. Shen will follow, kind of a target ban versus Mithy, and then Kindred pretty standard there for TSM.
Yeah, I expect something like a Rakan, potentially a Braum, and maybe a Malzahar from TSM to stop that from coming through, because Malzahar, I feel like, would shut down a lot of mid laners unless Bjergsen's going to play something like a Zilean.
Yeah, and we've actually seen Ryu be extremely successful on the Ryze as well. He had one of the highest DPS Ryze games in professional play, and not going to show up here quite yet as far as any sort of mid lane priority for TSM.
Yeah, and the Ryze also allows them to play that 1-3-1 that they love to kind of pick teams apart with. And that's kind of, if they aren't having Cody Sun or carry and they have Rikara in, 1-3-1 might be the way to go.
Meanwhile, we thought that 100 Thieves might have even more focus on the mid lane, but the only assassin they are banning out is the Akali. LeBlanc, to me, is extremely proficient on this patch, along with, of course, the Aurelia for Bjergsen. Both of these he has shown success in already.
Yeah, it might be there's just too much, right? The Syndra, LeBlanc, the Aurelia that he can play, the Akali. It might just be that it's overwhelming in his champion.
Maybe, but respect given to Aphro on the TSM side. They ban away Braum and Rakan as their last two, as Varus joined the pool for 100 Thieves. And a first pick Olaf, a champion that actually got banned quite a lot in the semifinals.
Super good early game champion here. You can farm very quickly. You can also go for early dragons. Something Tarzan in the LCK would try and sneak super early on, even in his first route through the jungle. So Anda already set up with a lot of possibilities here in the early game.
Yeah, very early game control, very good in the early skirmishes, basically wins most 2-on-2s, even pre-level 6 is the Olaf. So running into him is not something that you really want to do, and he'll control with a fast pace as well as the ganks.
Meanwhile, Kai'Sa, one of the most played for Zven and one of the most played for TSM, very successful as far as getting to the late game. They said they just wanted to have a better late game composition. Kai'Sa scales so well, that is going to do it for you.
Yeah, and these are both kind of flexible here in terms of the Kai'Sa can go and build the AD, can build the AP, have defensive builds, and the Gragas can go top, jungle, or support, and support the Kai'Sa and add stacks with body slam and also the explosive cast.
And I like the Kai'Sa especially because Bjergsen, if you are going to play a lot of AD assassins, you need some flexibility in damage profile. So TSM drafting pretty standard, but I think a lot of these things make sense for them. And Aphromoo, of course, in game one, he's playing Alistar.
Aphromoo on his birthday on Alistar. Meanwhile, Gangplank locked in here for Ssumday, and Ssumday has been an all-star player for 100 Thieves. Summer was such a credible split for him. He has a carry potential in the top lane, and it's going to be up to Hauntzer to put a stop to it.
Yeah, Ssumday is 4-0 this split on Gangplank, 19.3 KDA across those 4 games. He has been an absolute monster, and a lot of the times, in order to counter the Gangplank, you go towards him and camp him and put him behind. Nobody this split has been able to do that to Ssumday's GP.
Well, instead looks like they'll just take away that Ryze and move into phase 2 of ban series. TSM will get first pick of that set of champions. Again, we talked about Ryu being very good, especially on these kind of signature picks and ones that can 1-3-1. Bjergsen, of course, an extremely proficient Ryze as well. So overall, this makes a lot of sense. And the next ban is Tristana, so kind of going towards the bot lane there.
And I wonder if they'll ban out the Malzahar or even potentially the Cassiopeia here against the Ryze, because blind picking for Bjergsen in the mid lane is something that TSM, they don't usually want to do that unless it's a pick that they feel they can ban a counter out to, or all the counters are kind of equal in power and you'll be able to run them around the map.
And an interesting Tristana ban here as far as possible kill lanes for 100 Thieves. They're worried about the Alistar Tristana combo. We've seen that one quite a lot, going for the early kills. However, Rikara in his 4 games, he had the Jhin, the Misfortune, the Xayah, and in addition to the Kai'Sa. So haven't shown it quite yet.
And I love this for 100 Thieves saying, that may be a Ryze top. We've been seeing that more and more. It was seen in the LPL, and that could be something that they play up against the GP to contest barrels and make sure that they go back and forth.
Hauntzer's already done it, so it makes sense against the team that has shown that already to take it away. And TSM are like, yeah, we're going to ban LeBlanc here, continuing sort of that solo lane theme.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because the LeBlanc making sure that Ryu doesn't get this assassin champion that he's so proficient on, but also the Tristana ban was interesting to me because it's good for Rikara, but this is a very physical damage heavy composition, and Rikara is somebody who has played Swain in the past and has played this champion to great effect back in the academy. So I would love to see if he brings that out here and it becomes a magic damage bottom half of the map for 100 Thieves.
Interesting that they leave the option for the Cassiopeia for Ryu though into Bjergsen's Ryze. That one plus the Zoe have been the two main options that he's gone back to. Zoe has received some nerfs, and we'll see if they actually decide to pick that one up because Cassiopeia does provide plenty of AP, especially towards that late game, with both these teams having their eyes towards those late game team fights.
And right now, the Trundle lock-in, I absolutely love this because now you really have no idea except that the Trundle is probably in the jungle. Gragas can't go top or support, and then the Ryze can also be a top laner, so they could, if you pick a Cassiopeia, pick a hard counter to it and maybe even just flex their draft for TSM.
Yeah, Trundle, though, in isolation did get nerfed recently, is going to have a difficult time early on with the Olaf. Plus, 100 Thieves already have a Gangplank, so they're not going to run a true tank here for the Trundle ultimate to get a lot of value out of.
Yeah, it's a little interesting because they wouldn't be able to kind of go for these heavy ganks. It does moderately contest the Olaf, especially since if he uses his ultimate, he loses some resistances, so you can put him down a bit if you ulti him before he ultis, but that's about it. So I like it for being able to contest in the early game, but I don't like it because it's not going to play into, like you said, against the tank to Trundle's strengths.
Well, pretty standard end to the draft here for 100 Thieves. Syndra for Ryu and Rikara on Jhin, as we'll see what TSM have rounded. Again, we've kind of praised a lot of these flex picks, but TSM again working towards something here on the red side. Zilean certainly an option, but we'll see what they do want to lock in.
Yeah, I think the Zilean would make a lot of sense up against the Syndra, being able to ulti yourself, negate her ultimate, and then it becomes a very magic damage heavy composition, but if somebody stacks MR, Trundle will be able to take a lot of that away.
As well as the possibility here for Zven, probably going to run the more AD heavy build with Kai'Sa to even that out for the team. But there you go. Once again, Hauntzer will be in the top lane Ryze, trying to push in this Gangplank, take advantage of him early, get a lot of damage there, and we've seen him utilize it in the lane phase very effectively.
I think both teams, though, pretty well set up to play in late game, which is where we expect things to go. If people are expecting a 5-game series, expect 5 pretty long games between these two teams.
I'm watching the bottom lane in particular here. Rikara in for 100 Thieves. A Gangplank usually symbolizes bottom lane focus with the ultimate, but then TSM have a lot of tools to help out Zven, give him the ultimate, the chrono shift from the Zilean from Bjergsen, but also a Gragas versus a Jhin. Every body slam flash into a cask should be a kill on that guy.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves talked about trying to gather information in game number 1. In Champ Select, at least, TSM haven't shown anything new. They have utilized all these picks before. Mid lane Zilean, Gragas even on support, and top lane Ryze. So we'll have to get onto the Rift and see how they play it out.
Well, we'll see what happens here. But I think also looking at the junglers, Grig has been pretty defensive, kind of counter-attack oriented jungler most of this split, but Under has actually added quite a bit more aggression to the 100 Thieves side since joining about mid-split. And on something like Olaf, which has consistently been banned away in these games, I am expecting him to maybe give 100 Thieves a bit more of a robust early game.
And we can even see a level 1 here. Alistar plus Jhin on level 1. Olaf is, as soon as you see the Olaf there, you have to respect the axes and the undertow. There's definitely a possibility coming out firing in game number 1.
Well, let's see what happens here. Oakland's starting to come alive as 100 Thieves versus TSM will kick off in game number 1. No time to think about tomorrow, no time to think about next week and what is coming in that weekend. It is just this best of 5.
And I'm loving it so far. The TSM chants are coming alive, and it has been TSM's worst year to date. This is the first time that they have played in front of a large audience of this size all year, when before they used to make it to every event. The chants would be out in force. It is the first time that they have that in 2018.
See Ssumday and Hauntzer though, just squaring off. See how that matchup develops in a little bit, but it looks like no one's taking too many risks here. So it is good to mix it up sometimes, but they'll play pretty standard here.
Carry top lane matchup. We have supports in the bottom lane with plenty of crowd control set up, as well as the mid lane. So it really does feel like there are a lot of options for these junglers. And the early game, how your jungler works with the rest of your team, especially communicating with your mid laner early on, is going to tell a lot. First step in this process for pro games is always getting wards down in the river to see the scuttle crabs and try and figure out the first route of your opponent.
And something that I'm a little concerned about here, like you talked about the mid lane, is Bjergsen has the teleport. Ryu has heal as the Syndra against the Zilean. And I don't feel like it's a matchup where that's something that you really care about a whole bunch. Things like Ignite, even just having maybe Barrier, which is lower cooldown, or teleport yourself, maybe you're more useful here. I wonder what Ryu is really scared of here in this matchup that would make him take heal.
Yeah, the speed boost of the heal could help you dodge out on a little bit of the zoning of the bombs, and maybe it will be good later for a 5-on-5 situation since the AD carries. Both these marksmen haven't taken the heal. Those could be two possibilities. We also have a bunch of ghost portals, by the way.
Yeah.
New mastery, very effective.
Love it.
That we see for some more early vision up on the top side there from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I love it so much because it's so hard to just cover both scuttles without it. And I think it helps your jungler figure out what side the other jungler's on and then get at least one scuttle.
Especially when they have the Olaf, they have the possibility of going for some very aggressive early game moves. Meanwhile, on the top side, decent trade early on. And they both do have the refillable options, Corrupting Potion there for Ssumday, and refillable for Hauntzer, plus their teleports.
Same in mid lane as well, so expect a lot of trading here between Bjergsen and Ryu. So you can kind of outlast the other with their Corrupting Potion and Inspiration secondary. But again, I think in a lot of these lanes expecting mostly some farming, although Ryu again going to get aggressive, try and dodge it out. Good speed up there, the bombs will follow. Stun lands, bit of harass.
And in the dodging game, Zilean here with the extra speed. Bjergsen able to get the better of that trade. As you mentioned, though, they both have Time Work Tonic and their Inspiration secondary for the extra health gain from their biscuits and Corrupting Potions.
Yeah, but you gotta watch Ryu's mana pool. It's a little bit on the lower side. He doesn't have teleport, Bjergsen does, so as Bjergsen starts controlling this lane a little bit more, you see Ryu already makes it back for a Dark Seal as soon as possible.
And while we're here down in the bottom lane, we should definitely talk more about Rikara. It's been crazy ride for him. He was just immediately put in very high pressure situation in the playoffs, playing for 100 Thieves. And here, he's already in his finals, or basically here at Oracle's finals weekend. And he already is performing decently down there with Aphromoo. They have a lot of kill potential. Alistar, WQ, Jhin Roots could follow up. So any sort of jungle awareness that goes down to the bottom side could be a big setup.
Yeah, and we're talking about these guys who it's their first time in front of this enormous crowd. Rikara and Grig, definitely pressure on them. But if you're sitting there as Rikara, the person you want by your side is the Aphromoo, the Spring Split MVP, the leader of the team, to give you confidence, tell you everything's okay. Even back when Doublelift kind of was groomed by him to basically be told what to do in lane. I feel like if you're going to play ADC and be thrown onto the stage, Aphromoo is the guy you want right next to you.
Pretty good babysitter, as it turns out, both in and out of game.
Sometimes he leaves you for, the mid lane to go gank, but...
You know what? Sometimes a lot going on. Can be a tough job as Bjergsen is getting away, pushed in here in mid, but has gone back and did not burn teleport, so still has the option to make his way back. In the meantime, here in top lane, Ssumday starting to get it pushed in. Hauntzer again, mostly gated by mana, but has the tier to kind of push these waves back as much as he can.
And so far, we have a very slight lead in jungle experience for Anda. Right now, Ssumday on the run, though.
Yeah, the oranges, but out of mana, does have his splash. Jungler is coming, but it's on the TSM side, but Grig not really an angle to start something as Anda, Dip Pop Predator, is going to run towards the Trundle, but not going to throw the axe, just take the crab.
Yeah, really wants the crab there, and it already started to come up, and that's where everybody's kind of converging towards the top lane. You see that yellow marker on the map. That's the one you want, and Ssumday has TP, so even if they did start a fight, Hauntzer has pressure on him to clear this bigger wave.
And back to the top side by the looks of things, so we'll see if he does get something started. TSM, they do have vision in the area. Ssumday, they're going to press forward and actually clear out this control ward, and they're doing the same just on the left side. So all of a sudden, Hauntzer was feeling pretty safe in those trades, now has no vision right now. They're likely going to have to TP back with no mana.
This calm early game going in the favor of 100 Thieves so far. farming away very nicely. Again, the jungle lead is pretty decent here for the Olaf. Should be able to have priority in those meetups. Now he's got this level lead that he's working with. Ryu in the mid lane as well. Even though some of the trades look like Bjergsen was getting the better of the dodging, Ryu has the slightly better last hits.
And you think back to 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid in the semifinals, Anda, the Poppy jungle, up against Mithy. He was able to actually out-jungle Mithy the first 2 games. They won the first one off of this enormous lead. The second one, they weren't able to close, but Anda's somebody who has pathing down and knows how to kind of join up with his lanes, especially Ssumday and Ryu from what we've been seeing.
Again, especially with the nerfs to Trundle as far as the Q, a little bit less damage for him, a little bit less dueling potential, so you do have to play it a bit more safe there early on and don't want to fight that Olaf heads up just yet. Here we go, though. They are heading towards the bottom lane pre-6. Jungle Recall actually just does go off, so more farming will return.
Kind of indicating the pace of the game as well. We see this a lot from Zven, but both he and Rikara have TP on their bot laners, and looks like they've already both gone back and bought a BF sword. Rikara, though, did use his teleport. Zven did not, so they're going to have a little bit more freedom as Aphromoo may be trying to brush play here, but TSM, their bot lane in general is very good at neutralizing lanes. I think it's one of the reasons they pick stuff like Kai'Sa Gragas so often.
Yeah, it feels though like 100 Thieves are playing to the top side of the map. You just look at control ward locations. Dragon seems to be on the table for him, playing towards the lane that has the new guy in Rikara in it. But then the top side, 100 Thieves have 3 control wards to kind of spot out anything and keep Ssumday safe, because then he can contribute to the bottom side with Cannon Barrage.
Gragas is also pretty good at stuffing the Alistar engages, and Mithy will have a lot of opportunity to try and deny Aphromoo those big openings that he's looking for. So far, though, should just be a blue handoff here for Ryu in the mid lane. And Ryu, this guy, he has done such a big job for 100 Thieves in getting them here, you know, to this very position in their tiebreakers, you know, getting them through the early games in which they hadn't really had a lot of priority to their comfort area. And now, he's making a decent play here on Bjergsen.
Yeah, gonna try and get an ulti, does grab it, spear down on the ground, and then pops it away. Ryu might be able to land a follow-up stun, but Bjergsen, too much health as he comes out of the revive, but now the pressure's really on.
Yeah, the pressure's on. He's calling up Anda right now. This gives them priority to Drake. This gives them an ability to, oh, not stunned in turret range.
Yeah, didn't get him in turret range, but Ryu, with that ultimate trade and pushing Bjergsen back, he did deny a couple of CS, plus forces that teleport out of Bjergsen. Grig is on a ward, so it should be 100 Thieves with more information here.
2v2 right now, but Ryu just runs away, does have his flash ready. Grig does enter mid lane and show himself.
Potential for a dive bottom lane, and you'll see TSM's bot lane is going to have to back up here in just a second, because Ryu and Anda actually both in a good position.
As a result, that means actually Grig trying to face check, but Anda already gonna get onto him after Ryu followed up with a stun. Might be a fight here, but Ragnarok popped by Anda. Mithy also around the side, but Afro has joined the fray as well, looking for a 3v3. Now Rikara here, there's the stun. Landing onto Ryu, but no follow-up there for TSM.
Yeah, TSM did not have Zven rotate over, so they were down one person in the possible fight here in the river. That's why they did not try and chase 100 Thieves any further. Zven just farming away, and he will be able to push out that lane on bottom.
Yeah, it's still very beneficial for TSM to be able to push them out and actually force the Syndra to go around, and that actually almost evens the CS up in the mid lane as some of it dies to the turret, but now they can inside track on that Drake.
Yeah, you could also see the difference in the smites there. The challenging smite for Grig helped him win that duel. Drake gonna go down though, and he should be able to hit this one.
Yeah, Afro gonna try and get it off. Grig able to get the smite on, but maybe Afro can find a combo. Flash at the ready as Ryu took a chunk from Bjergsen's bombs, so he's gonna kind of call off the play. Bjergsen thinking about canceling that recall, but takes the wave instead.
Yeah, take the wave, get the next one, because the Syndra doesn't have teleport or to use the heal. And it's interesting, whenever somebody's playing against Syndra, you either see an early Merc Treads or you see them grab a Null Magic Mantle. But with the Zilean, you don't really have to do that. You can go and dip into the Catalyst, get that HP, go for the Rod of Ages, and that's how you survive the matchup at the level 6. And he has the ultimate to kind of help him with that too. So the counter pick a little bit paying off here, where you don't have to fear the Syndra as much, and even your team doesn't have to fear it that much, not just the matchup.
And meanwhile, even though 100 Thieves do have this gold lead, most of the gold lead is on the Olaf and the Gangplank from Gangplank's extra, source of money coming in from the parlay. And it is kind of a difference in trading the Ocean Drake here for a couple of extra camps. Grig, though, will be able to 5 Anda, and Scuttle Crab control should go over to 100 Thieves. He looks like he wants to try and smite, though.
Done lands. Grig trying to find something there. Good pillar. Zones off Ryu. Bjergsen also throwing bombs over the ledge. So Grig is going to secure this.
Yeah, Ssumday there. This time around is the one farming at his turret. With Hauntzer moving down, he allows Grig to get that Scuttle Crab and balance out some of the gold difference.
It's something that we got to touch on here is Aphromoo actually had a decent gold lead over his opponent, and it was something that a lot of people don't track on supports, but he's actually about 160 gold up via support item, has completed his support quest early, and Mithy is now going to complete his. If he gets one more charge, he's like 4 gold away, it'll tick over, but this means Aphromoo is out on the map with full wards ready to go in his Sightstone, and Mithy doesn't have that luxury just yet.
And even better than wards, Aphromoo's got mobility boots for Alistar, so he could look to make a play. They've already cleared out vision on the bottom side of this mid lane here, with Anda making a pass, so that would be one route that's possible for him. However, it's very difficult to make that big play onto a Zilean unless Bjergsen gets a little over-aggressive with his positioning.
With the Drake down, though, seems like topside might be the play, although 100 Thieves thinking about that dive here. Still nice ward, though, from TSM. It's going to spot 3 moving through, so Aphro roams in, gets that deep ward down, and looks like 100 Thieves will continue playing relatively slowly.
And you can see Mithy, he went back, sat in the base for a bit. It gives you 1 gold every 10 seconds towards it. He was at 2 gold away. And so he waited 10 seconds, walked out, didn't have wards, walked back in, now he has wards again. So he's actually hasn't been in lane for about 30 seconds now.
See Hauntzer though still pushing in onto Ssumday, and Zven is playing appropriately safe down a little CS right now, but Stormrazer's finished on both, feeling pretty comfy. Is Hauntzer going to turn things back around? Phase Rush going to proc, getting good damage there onto Ssumday, who held onto those oranges, actually didn't have them, does have them back up right now.
Yeah, he's not too scared. He has the oranges, he has the biscuits as well to just heal himself up.
And with the grass, a lot safer, stacking up HP over the course of the game, constantly firing off those parlays on Hauntzer, trying to get some more health for himself to work with later. As long as he doesn't get bursted down early on in the game, he should be able to farm up, and his Trinity Force now comes in.
And you can see that pressure that Hauntzer had. Oh, Anda's actually going to get it.
Nice Smite, does get it away.
Reckless Swing combined with Smite should be enough true damage to always win those if you time it very well. He's actually not even stopping in the mid lane to go pick up that cannon minion. And it's going to allow the tower to take it down, allow a little bit more time for Ryu to get there.
Scuttle, enemy blue buff that you have the timer of. If your bot lane shoves, you can invade, and you just saw the Bjergsen back. So if Syndra pushes mid, you can start getting priority on this side of the map. So having a little pit stop mid, not worth it for him.
All right, and they're going to play it safe. Does wait out under the barrel. Ryu also has his Ludens finished, so 100 Thieves feeling pretty confident as they pressure through mid and fade right-hand side. Here's that blue you mentioned.
Yeah, they're trying to go for the invade once again. Rikara is in lane, but he's long range here on Jhin, and it's the old Syndra, yoink!
Tries to stun Bjergsen, but Bjergsen just waiting it out, throwing some auto attacks in there with the bombs.
Mid lane priority. Bjergsen has the inside track, so he's kind of keeping 2 people over there.
Should be a good defense here for TSM after the reset and a mid-pass mid, and they will be able to secure their own blue buff. Will he be able to hand it off, though? It looks like it's going to Grig instead, and Bjergsen can tell he's already fairly low on mana, but he does have a catalyst for himself in addition to, you know, plenty of consumables.
Yeah, that's the payoff of the invade there from 100 Thieves, is it doesn't go over to Bjergsen, so you have a mismatch of you have Ryu with the blue, or sorry, you have Anda with the blue, and then it made it so that you wanted to invade, so that you didn't have that, where it was a blue advantage for Bjergsen, and you're able to just have the junglers kind of go even there.
Nice there from Mithy. Immediately respects the Aphro playmaking. Was recalling. I'm not sure if he wanted to complete it or not, but if he did, just walks away as soon as Aphro enters that brush. So it does feel like at least the pushing pressure is in their advantage right now, but all teams just kind of farming things out right now.
And a much better game from Rikara here. It's about to crest 15 minutes. Hold on, Anda. Caught in the jungle, has ulti though.
Oh, Ragnarok is going to be blocked off a little by the pillar, but Grig can't really chase.
And that is a big cooldown. If you can burn the Olaf ultimate over and over again, removes a lot of that pressure that he can bring. His Predator is up, Flash is up, so we would definitely be looking for something offensive, but nice little quick invade there from TSM, allows them to force the jungler off the map, and probably secure that Rift Herald for themselves, especially considering the deeper vision that they left behind in that quick little invade.
Yeah, so they'll see him start walking up. You can see Hauntzer is already pressuring. And this Ryze matchup to the Gangplank, quite good, but look at this.
Predator back out onto the map, though. Anda doesn't want to give it up, and they know what's going on.
Herald. Oh, Realm actually going to try and cut him off. Haunter, though, does not take it. Instead, they zone them away. They take the Rift Herald. TSM, just enough pressure to secure that objective.
Even though Anda has an inkling that this is going on, runs in, and because they burned his ult previously, now they take his flash, and they still get the Rift Herald.
Yep, they get the Rift Herald. They'll try to convert it into a turret, but this counter matchup that they were able to flex around and have this Ryze versus the Gangplank, sure, you think, oh, we can get out of the root, but there's just so much damage. You don't build a lot of magic resistance here on the GP, and you're just in a spot where you're constantly shoved in, and you scale alongside.
Possible play here from 100 Thieves, though. Aphromoo taking a look at the top side along with Anda. Maybe they're trying to bait Hauntzer in a little bit here.
Hauntzer being patient. There they are over the wall. Heist begins. Hauntzer going to try and book it out of there. It does do good damage to Ssumday, but Aphro is lining up the play for first blood. There's the knockback straight into the wall, followed up by the pulse, and goodbye. Ssumday going to go first blood, but here's Mithy. Cask over, does follow up with the body slam, but Ryu's still living.
Yep, Ryu is able to use his heal before the Ignite gets on him, I believe, for the extra health that comes through. Doesn't have to use his flash, even with the mid gank. TSM, they do give up first blood, and it goes over to Ssumday. Huge plays for 100 Thieves. They might even just get that first turret bonus gold, but TSM get Drake number 2.
Still, that's a lot of gold going on to Ssumday in the top lane in a matchup that Hauntzer was pressuring. Hauntzer was trying to get the better of it. Aphromoo walked up so that he didn't have his headbutt flashed away from. Was perfect play there and very calm.
Well, it's a bit of a trade there as TSM are able to get that bottom turret. Grig, though, maybe in a little too deep. Does have Mithy behind him right now, though.
After the reset here, we're going to have desync side lanes, and everybody's coming mid.
Yep, Aphromoo now going to get pillared back in. Looks for the follow-up bubble. Body slam is there. Aphro going to pop Unbreakable Will to try and stay alive a little longer. So cooldown there for TSM, but not a whole lot else.
Yeah, better for Aphromoo to use his ultimate than flash away. Definitely want that flash for a big play like we just saw from him on top side.
And this is TSM trying to go for 3 turrets. They got the one bottom, they rotate Zven mid, they use the Rift Herald, and then the top lane is being shoved right now by Hauntzer. And that could be the last outer turret going, as we see here the Acer Predator replay starts with Aphromoo playing this beautifully, walking up instead of using the W for a flash.
And this is why everyone always cites Aphromoo's playmaking with this squad. 100 Thieves up to the top side along with Anda. They're patient and they wait just long enough for Hauntzer to move up with the minion wave into the turret range and secure that kill. Plus, that's what got them the first turret bonus.
Yeah, and now you have Ssumday running around with 1,000 gold lead over this matchup with the Ryze. Now has the Trinity Force. Looks like he's going to go a little defensive here for his next item, though.
TSM, though, are trying to pressure on this top side of the map. You said it already with the Rift Herald after they got mid, are looking to take down the outer ring if they can. So a lot of activity here on the left-hand side. 100 Thieves, pretty easy move to read, and they've been good in their defense so far.
I was trying to figure out what Ssumday's going for. I think it's a Spirit Visage for more healing from his W, but also, we talked about at the start, magic damage pretty much across the board for TSM.
Yeah, we've seen it definitely quite a few times there for the Gangplank. Also buffs up your citrus eating value. 100 Thieves actually getting pushed out of their own jungle here. As you said, this is going to be the 3rd tower that goes down. TSM taking the full outer ring after the first blood there for 100 Thieves, turning it around on them fairly quickly.
Yeah, and Baron's in 30 seconds here to be on the map, which is going to be a constant pressure point for them because TSM still have that mid turret. They still have that bottom turret up. So as 100 Thieves look to kind of knock those turrets down, they have to commit resources to that side of the map. And you can see Baron is completely dark for 100 Thieves, whereas TSM have control.
Well, you mentioned Baron, especially when the Raid Blade is now finished for the Kai'Sa. Certainly a big possibility there for TSM. Rikara, though, finishing up some of the busy work here in bot lane, will take down this outer turret and get things going in towards the tier 2. So a lot of trades here in these last few, and it is a gold lead up for 100 Thieves, but not by much.
Yeah, that's a gold lead for 100 Thieves, being down a tower as well. So if they can actually regroup around this mid lane, have Ssumday continue to side lane push, and be able to get some more ground for themselves, they definitely have a good look here. Post 20 minutes. This is what we've been building to all game long for this season. Actually, Ssumday now.
Oh, Zven flashed in. Yeah, he's going to try and make something happen. Cannon Barrage to try and protect himself. Ssumday, though, does get over the wall, but Zven to fall with the killer instinct. And Bjergsen, he's ready to go. Bottom lane, though, Hauntzer, goodbye.
So
Rikara
both
shuts them
top
down.
laners get caught out here on opposite sides of the maps and go down almost simultaneously. They pay the price for their teams. And this is going to be a pretty even draw.
Yep, they both use flashes. They both die at the same time. They both give over kills. They still keep their teleports, though, so they can get back out onto the map. But right there, that was pretty all over the place. Ssumday is backing the middle of the lane on the side that TSM has control of. We talked about it earlier. All their wards are here. They have the control. Flashes the loving arms of Bjergsen, who gets the kill. And on the opposite side, it looked like Hauntzer is just chasing Rikara, goes towards the red buff, and then there's Anda there, who's conveniently doing the buff as he walks by.
Yeah, Hauntzer sees Rikara, the new guy on the squad, thinks that it's going to be an easy pickoff for himself, but Anda is there to help him out, and they take down the TSM top laner.
And Rikara's been doing quite well in this game. He was up in terms of CS at 15 minutes. First time that he's done that so far. We saw he was negative 31 in his 4 matches against Doublelift. And so this matchup with the Gangplank top helping him out whenever he can in terms of pressure with the ultimate, it feels like it's a bit of an easier time for Rikara in this game. He doesn't have that constant pressure on him because TSM aren't really throwing resources towards the bottom side.
Oh, the true test is now going to come in the mid game and in the team fighting, as your positioning will be so incredibly important against a team like TSM are fielding here. There's so many AoE abilities that you have to dodge with the Gragas engage coming through. Trundle Pillar is going to be making that difficult. So we will see, how these mid-game setups actually turn out. Right now, they have Zven split pushing with the Kai'Sa. It's actually a decent split pusher, especially with the marksman now taking teleports.
Yeah, and if you jump in on her as she's doing a minion wave, she already has the fully stacked Rage Blade, so her dueling power is a little bit higher than most people expect. But something that he's trying to do is catch Rikara. Rikara has the highest CS in the game. He's 257 at 22.5 minutes, so he's farming incredibly well. So they have to devote resources to Zven to kind of stay in tow.
Mithy, they're going to try it onto Aphromoo, but just a bit of harass and nothing really more. Bjergsen fishing for bombs, but not going to grab them, as there's the W. Finds Aphro there from Zven, but doesn't dare pop the killer instinct into the rest of the team. One thing I do like about the overall pressure there for TSM is they've got 2 Drakes already, and now looking for the mountain that has respawned, and Zven already got the wave pushing in top lane.
Yeah, we see down bottom, they keep wrestling back and forth.
More poke onto Aphromoo too. Every little bit of damage you can chip away at this Alistar definitely going to help set up this dragon fight, because there are 2 Ocean Drakes on TSM, so they regenerate any sort of damage that is dealt beforehand.
Yeah, they regenerate. They already have the mid turret down, and 100 Thieves don't, so they can push that wave further, and just beneficial. Remember, the minions actually get buffed up a little bit per turret that's down in that lane, so the minions are a little stronger and will auto push.
And watch what TSM are doing. You pull off the dragon, Hauntzer is still pushing bottom, so it forces 100 Thieves to be the ones in the high pressure situation here, cornered with the dragon, losing minions on bottom side.
One by Aphro, Mithy in though, does get the pulverize in, but it's Mithy going to pop the stopwatch. TSM though trying to rush down the Drake. Bjergsen looking to zone them away with the bomb. Spike goes through, it is Grig that grabs it, and now in the middle of the team, it's Anda, goes down to Hauntzer.
Great ult there from Mithy on the Gragas, knocked him in. Zven goes in too.
Zven straight in with the killer instinct. There's the ult out from one as Hauntzer realm warped into 2. Ssumday though getting a little threatened, but not too bad. Defensive cannon barrage keeps fast. Good barrel chain after Aphro. Finds the pulverize in the other side as Mithy. He's able to go down. There's the flash of Rikara. And Ssumday grabs the double. Now Zven has to turn tail and run.
That Zilean ult timed out, and there's only a tiny sliver of health on Zven, so he had to dodge all these wards so he doesn't get sniped afterwards. But look at the confidence. Ssumday turns it around with the Gangplank ultimate and barrel chain. Rikara flashing forward to secure the kill for his team. It does not look like 100 Thieves are having any problems.
And I couldn't get there at the start of the fight, but Ryu sets up the back end of the play. But let's watch this one again.
All right, so in the Dragon, we have an early stopwatch here from Mithy to delay. Now Grig does get the smite, but look at Mithy's barrel. knocks the Olaf all the way in, and even with your ultimate pop, it actually just takes down your resistances and you die quicker. Zven, though, jumps in on Kai'Sa, knowing that he's gonna have the Zilean ult, but he doesn't get killed, so he has to get out of there.
Oh, hold on, I can't go over the rest of it.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Here's Mithy running away from 3 members of 100 Thieves. We also have Zven pushing up top, so 100 Thieves know they got to push through and pressure off this Baron.
And even though 100 Thieves do have the 4-2 kill advantage, TSM got the objective once again. TSM have gotten every single dragon this game, as well as the Rift Herald, with 100 Thieves having the slight gold lead and now trying to pressure the tower.
But there's more towers for them to take, right? Getting this middle turret would put them even further up in gold, and they have those side lanes that can push out. But TSM, the Ocean Drakes, help out immensely when you're in those siege situations. And Zven is picking up that side lane farm. This will put him up in CS over Rikara for one of the first times in the game.
Yeah, he's only getting stronger as well. Kai'Sa scales so well as the game gets later. Working on item number 3. You can see the gold difference. Zven is actually currently ahead of Rikara as far as 1v1 goal between the two goes. And Bjergsen doing an adamant job protecting this turret. 100 Thieves, they're so good around the map, but they don't have too much map to move on right now.
Yeah, especially with the Hail of Blades, we've seen Rikara have so much damage on that 4-shot coming in with the burst. And it is so much about the setup. As both these teams are talking about, it's these mid-game team fights and how they're going to be able to get positioning and vision in order to get the engagement.
Yeah, and that's who I'm always watching here is Mithy's engaged, Aphromoo's engaged, even Doublelift, or not Doublelift, sorry, Bjergsen talked about it at the start where he was saying, hey, it's about the engagements. We're pretty similar in terms of team. We just have to team fight a little bit better than them and wait for those engages to come through. So I'm watching the engagers here, especially Aphromoo and Mithy.
Well, something that does spark that very often is the Baron on the table. 27 minutes in, a Scuttle Crab is about to come up in this area. And so far, TSM have had the better vision control. Slightly deeper wards, clearing out a lot of the 100 Thieves wards so that they don't know if they're on Baron or not. It's causing a lot of these kind of scared plays where they need to gather more information.
Yeah, we're seeing them go and check, and Grig caught out. He does have flash.
Yep, W actually just going to get dodged. Nice there from Grig using the frozen domain. Aphro gets tagged, but no rush in the Kai'Sa. Oh, goodbye, Scuttle Crab.
Well, that's one way to get vision for yourself. Bring the Scuttle Crab on into your territory and take it down. Split push still going strong there for TSM with Hauntzer on the bottom side trying to pressure, though, while the rest of 100 Thieves defend in mid lane.
I'm going to rush back out and try and counter push the mid lane, but TSM were hoping to apply pressure to Ssumday, who, remember, is still very strong at this stage of the game. Both their crew and solo lane is actually set up to play a pretty pivotal role in this late game.
Yeah, and I like that he went for the Stormrazor. Third item, got a little defensive in the middle there, but this will allow him to hit those squishies very hard. And then also, you look at Zven's build, very team fight oriented.
TSM sent 2 people bottom, and they still have priority in mid lane, chasing off 100 Thieves here. 100 Thieves trying to take out the vision, though. Again, they were far behind in the vision game, so they took that opportunity to try and get the wards back for themselves. In the cost, though, another tower goes down. So now TSM with a 4-tower to 2 lead.
Yeah, and I like that they brought Zven and Hauntzer there because they both have teleports. So if you started Baron, both those guys would be able to be in attendance, and there's no way for a GP to really interrupt it either. So TSM were using the summoner spells to their advantage, and now they have a gold lead of almost 1,000.
Kai'Sa's such a great shadow for a split pusher like Ryze as well. So I like TSM again, kind of using all their tools. I think it's why when we see them draft stuff like Kai'Sa so early, you think, okay, isn't Kai'Sa's problem in lane? Well, yeah, but Zven is so good and so consistent with Mithy at getting through the lane that the options they give her in draft and in the game are more than worth that trade-off.
Kai'Sa definitely going to have more sustained damage than the Jhin in the team fight, but there is a very huge possibility of burst damage from Rikara from this Jhin. He's on the 3-item spike. Infinity Edge has been completed. That being said, Zven with the added, good flash there from Hauntzer.
Good, but perhaps unnecessary. Hauntzer a little too far forward. Does get himself out of there, though.
Yeah, great reactions there. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where Aphromoo walked up last time to Hauntzer so that he couldn't do that type of move. But with the flash down, it means the next one is more likely to hit. Aphromoo has the flash available, so a flash pulverize or headbutt pulverize would hit Hauntzer. And so he's going to have to be a little more careful.
All right, will they be able to take down the Kai'Sa? Zven here does also have the Rune on Hurricane, can take down multiple members at the same time, and the Zilean ult will give him confidence to position much more aggressively in that team fight. Here we go, though, trying to fight up for Vision inside the river.
Both big monsters are up, so it's actually a pretty key point as TSM first need to defend and shove out mid lane. Aphro, though, flash over the wall, finds one, but he's going to get stunned up on the front side. Pumps the Unbreakable Will to try and stay alive with the damage. Maybe enough. Zven with the W. He's able to pick him off, and now TSM are in a 5v4.
And that seemed like a pretty half-hearted commit there. Aphromoo went in. Ssumday lays down no ultimate. There isn't really an ultimate either from Ryu, can't reach. And so it's one where Aphromoo pulled the trigger on that, but other people weren't even holding the gun at that point.
Also, the target there was Mithy on the support Gragas. Not the best target to want to use everything on. If you're going to want to get your chain stun and your Gangplank ultimate down, the target is Zven. But here we go. Baron's at 8,000 and dropping quickly.
Baron damage so strong. Yeah, exactly. There's the cannon barrage though. They used it now. See if they can get something done. Into the pick. He steals the Baron away from Grig. And now Zven, caught in the pit, is trying to fight his way out. Pops the ulti, flashes over the wall to safety, but Hauntzer, maybe not so lucky. He's going to be resurrected there as Bjergsen going to try and run something else here. Hauntzer back with almost full HP by now. It's his turn to chase back under Rikara, but he flashes out and barely misses getting body slammed. The rest of the team, though, coming out as Zven. Dip him to fall on the other side of the fight. Rikara kind of back away. Here's the rest of 100 Thieves. Ssumday going to try and keep fighting. Hauntzer down the bullet flag. Rikara saving the end of the fight. And he stole the Baron. And TSM get ace.
Are you kidding me? 100 Thieves steal the Baron, and they've got 5 members alive. That is a clean ace plus the Baron. What a sweep from 100 Thieves.
TSM lost their mind. They kept going for it. Grig, he walks up, but it doesn't matter. Anda is able to get in, just ulti, flash it, not stopped at all, gets the kill on it, and then Aphromoo's able to run back to this fight after he's the one that got picked off.
This was a 4v5, and 100 Thieves steal the Baron. And one of the mid-split changes for this team takes it away from Grig, who has been North America's strongest smiter this split. But Anda goes in with the Olaf, able to have the extra true damage with the Reckless Swing. Huge stage, huge performance, and 100 Thieves now with a huge lead.
And I remember when Ando was back in Challenger, his name was Chirong, and everybody was like, oh, it's Cloud9 Balls' cousin. People don't even remember that anymore. He's just Anda. His own merits have started to make his own name for him. He doesn't have to care about his family or who's related to. He is his own player, and Anda is just showing up here.
And on top of that, Rikara, the other new guy on the team, also making a name for himself right there with the escape, able to dodge out from the TSM chase, and now they're at the TSM doors, taking down turrets left and right.
It's a game that was played so carefully, but 100 Thieves dash all of their hope in one little smite steal. TSM starting to lose turrets. Now they're the ones down 2 as 100 Thieves are up 6-4. And it's not stopping. Baron's still up for a minute.
That was just so incredible that in this high pressure situation in their time of need, 100 Thieves do it without Aphromoo. Aphromoo not even there at the scene, and it's the new guys that are stepping up. Now, let's see if they can actually convert on this, because the hardest step is ahead of them. Inhibitor turrets, TSM trying to mount their defense. TSM strategy now, try and use this small funnel at the turret to allow them to use a good Gragas ultimate and win the team fight.
Maybe a catch on the Ando now, popping the Ragnarok, but actually the damage is maybe enough here. Hauntzer still chasing, spit up by Bjergsen, looking for the pick-off, they do grab it.
And that's going to mean they back up in the Baron buff. They're not able to crack the base with it. Only 20 seconds left on it as they reset. And that's not enough here. They get one more wave, but I don't think they're going to push with it.
Yeah, Ssumday trying to chase, but doesn't quite connect that combo onto Grig. So 100 Thieves will back away, reset, and go spend some gold. But TSM, they have stopped kind of the hard part of the Baron push here. They won't be happy that they lost their lead. 100 Thieves up pretty significantly after that, but they know the game is likely going to be played quite a bit longer, so they'll be happy not to lose inhibitors.
Yeah, but if it goes on longer, Zven gets even more powerful at the 5 items right now, only has one more that he needs to buy for himself, and the Kai'Sa does an immense amount of damage. And then you also have this Ryze that will just continue to scale as well. And so that's kind of the worry here for 100 Thieves is this is a 5,000 gold lead for them. Is that enough to counter these 2 big champions in the later parts of the game? It might be, but they still can't let up the pressure because it's not like TSM are flailing right now. They still are going back and forth.
Well, currently they actually have Ryu on the top lane. And again, this is a Syndra with no teleport, split pushing on there for them. So TSM know they have the numbers advantage for a few more seconds, and they're taking it out on Aphromoo.
Good cast. Aphromoo just eating a wall of damage. Last bomb is enough. Bjergsen able to get the kill again, despite the ultimate up for Aphro.
A lot of these stray kills here being picked up by TSM, picking off members of 100 Thieves and getting themselves right back in it.
Yeah, and the way they kind of teased that kill where they were like, oh, we're just gonna do some chip damage. Here comes a pillar, a little bit after a little bit. And then by the time the Aphromoo had actually used the ultimate, he had already been knocked back by the cast. He was already too far back, and he had already taken a lot of damage. As Bjergsen got caught right there, just used his chrono shift.
Yeah, Bjerg actually forced the ulti. The team is going to try and defend it, but Bjerg is going to get chunked down, and it finds the kill. But Hauntzer on the other side is looking to take down Ryu, who did have to flash away. Zven now can chase in, maybe take down Ssumday, but Rikara is trying something. Grig needs the cancel, does get the pillar, but the last bullet turns around, takes down Mithy. Ssumday takes down Zven.
With a Trundle in his face, Rikara aims true, finds the shot to the back, gets Mithy, and that's 3 members of TSM down now, and Grig is on the run. It's just him and Hauntzer left to defend.
And they're gonna be able to push this right here. Where's the wave clear? It would be Hauntzer who's running towards the top side of the map. Rikara does a lot of damage to these turrets, and so does Ssumday and Ryu.
Waves too big on top side, so 100 Thieves, they will crack the base, despite the Baron buff dropping off. And maybe even throwing for a little bit more, and is already starting that wave pushing in top lane.
And they should be able to wear this one down as well. Aphromoo taking up the turret, the 2 damage burn, working away. That's gonna be inhibitor number 2 for 100 Thieves.
Back-to-back takes, 100 Thieves find yet another team fight win in a pretty sticky situation. And they're able to keep that gold lead and keep up significantly in this game.
And that shot that Kobe was talking about, where it went right over Grig's shoulder. Grig also had used the Trundle pillar at the same time. That was the last shot that he was gonna get out of that clip there. Rikara was able to get it on the side, but right here, Ryu, they're able to pick off Bjergsen. Ryu survives, and then the chunk onto Mithy. The last shot there with the rapid fire cannon increasing the range. The first shot hits Grig, second one over the shoulder, and then the ultimate's interrupted.
Yeah, Mithy walk a little bit too far up into the river. Not a straight line there with Grig, and he is taken down. But again, it all started off with Bjergsen getting caught, of all people, for TSM.
Yeah, Bjergsen's been doing well in terms of CS this game. He had been ahead of Ryu the entire time, but getting caught there, blowing the chrono shift on himself. But that was after, once again, they had picked off Aphromoo. 100 Thieves without Aphromoo, 4v5, have been finding these fights and the counters.
Well, Baron is back up, as you can see. Kind of the journey we've been on in gold. But 100 Thieves now know that this focus really has to be on this Baron number 2. With 2 inhibs down, TSM have a lot of pressure coming from those super minions, so 100 Thieves' patience should pay off here. Ssumday just gonna chunk down Mithy, gonna keep chasing. Pillar is there, but it's not quite enough to block, and Aphro may have found a frontliner. Grig rooted in the front side, but he's okay as Mithy also got out of there. TSM have a very limited amount of time to try and play for a team fight. Elder Dragon also up in 20 seconds, so a lot of decisions to make here, and TSM don't have that much map right now.
And I think the Elder Dragon is more concerning for 100 Thieves because trading the Baron for the Elder Dragon, TSM would be okay with that right now because they have 3, and this game is coming down to those team fights. And with Mithy to engage them, you would be able to pick somebody else off. So 100 Thieves, even though they don't have a lot of Drakes, they just have that 1 Cloud Drake, they still have to worry about that Elder because it would be a large damage boost for TSM.
Oh, here we go. Stun on to Grig to start it off.
They have to follow up. Aphro finds with the pulverized. Grig also able to use the ult, but maybe not going to live for that much longer. Chrono shift down. Grig, he needs to actually die. Does finally get resurrected, but 100 Thieves already diving into the backline as Zven, eating a lot of damage. Hauntzer trying to get Grig into the backline. Look to take them down. Zven cutting out of the way. Still alive, but now Andy going to run in with the Ragnarok, with Zven actually keeping him out of there as Rikara takes a big touch, but he punches over. Last bullet finds Zven, and that's him dead for 50 seconds.
Ryu now gonna have to defend himself. He gets stunned.
Aphro though finds a double pulp, though bombs enough to take down Ryu. And now Aphro, he's just buying time under Rikara. The new kids, they're gonna try and take down TSM in the first game here of the 3rd place match. TP cancelled, Nexus dead. 100 Thieves will take game number 1.
What an opener here at Oracle Arena. We have a 0-death Rikara on stage for you. Ssumday remains undefeated in Season 8 on Gangplank. That is 6-0 for him. And 100 Thieves looking good. You can say you expect them to only play for mid and late game, but can you do anything about it?
That's the big question here. And like you said, Ssumday, 13 KDA on that champion, highest KP by at least 2 on the team. Did work, and they couldn't shut down the GP. Absolutely incredible season for this guy so far. It has been kind of a re-emergence for Ssumday. But then, like you said, Rikara, this guy came in, and they said, hey, maybe game 2, we'll figure out, Cody's watching in the back. We'll use whichever AD is most suited for this match. Maybe you don't even swap.
They said we wanted to gather some information. Well, you gathered some pretty good info. Rikara, no nerves, it looks like, and good performance on stage.
Must feel nice for 100 Thieves to get a lot of work done without Aphromoo. Not playing badly by any stretch of the imagination, but it felt like everyone in 100 Thieves did their part and a lot more in some of those tense situations.
Yeah, Aphromoo getting picked off. Sometimes you just get scattered. You don't go in after that. Leader's dead, shot caller is dead. You're like, no, they were able to pull the trigger and kind of capitalize on TSM, saying Aphromoo's dead, time to do something, right?
It's easier to shot call from the fountain. He can have a
That is my
good
strategy.
vision of the Baron area, and they're able to pull it off in the crunch time. That was definitely an exciting play, and that was the turning point of the entire game. They were down in gold, but after that, it was a 6.7 thousand gold Baron power play. Plus, after that, they were able to destroy so much of TSM's base.
Yeah, and huge credit to him, able to get in and get the smite down. Grig rooted a little bit outside of the pit. Don't know if he was even in range and was able to reach it, but Anda getting in was the huge game changer.
Well, to share their thoughts on the first game here in Oracle Arena, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We said strap in for a long one, and I have a feeling that's exactly what we're in for. Solo's joined us on the desk to help us break down the first game of the best of 5 that went in favor of 100 Thieves this time around. Pulling up the win conditions. Yeah, let's start there. Let's start there because I gave you guys...
Look at that first one. Look at the first one.
The first one. Talk to me about
Get
it.
to 25 minutes with even gold, and the reason for that was because the communication on 100 Thieves is way better than the communication on TSM.
And then the rest of our draft ones were not really followed. A Ryze got through. There was no assassin for Bjergsen. They did not power pick Ryze or Malzahar. Olaf can farm fast, but he's definitely not a scaling fast farming jungler like you were talking about. So in terms of the draft and how it played into our win conditions, it was pretty far off.
And the crazy thing to me was when I was thinking that 100 Thieves was going to play through top lane, I just kind of assumed that TSM was going to deny Gangplank somehow.
Right.
Because that's what happened in game 1 of the semifinal against TL. He smashed on GP, never got it the rest of the series, and that was that.
This was very reminiscent of that. Let's take a look at that champion select and the way it broke down. Solo, having you here during that, you were actually able to apply a lot of logic, even though it didn't follow their win conditions, to why we were seeing the picks coming in the way that we did. A very magic-heavy composition for TSM, throwing that Ryze up into the top lane against the GP.
Yeah, it seemed like they really were ready for the GP. They wanted to try their Ryze, do the split pushing, kind of have this 1-3-1 sort of thing where you have the Ryze always inside lane and then he gets to farm up and be strong in the split push. It was a little bit difficult. His laning didn't go super well. He got ganked by the good Alistar play, but even so, he was able to get pressure. The problem just came from a lot of their team fighting issues, a lot of communication issues down the line.
Yeah, I think the point about the GP is really important because he doesn't need help to become like a monstrous threat, and that's kind of what we were saying. Like, they do play well. They don't really play well around Ssumday in game. So if you give him something that is kind of self-sufficient, just takes over the game, he goes from basically not being involved to suddenly the highest kill participation champion.
Yeah, that said, I do think we have to make note of the difference in the bot lane here, just not having to lane against Doublelift.
Is that another win condition for 100 Thieves?
Don't have to play against TL's bot lane. This was a really weird moment, not for the Ssumday death, but for the Hauntzer death.
I think Hauntzer had a lot of plays where I think he was feeling himself a little bit too much, thinking he was a little bit stronger than he was, trying to go for a little bit of hero plays, and ends up kind of just inting a kill.
The reality of that situation is you have 4 of your own teammates on the opposite side of the map making a play. You just don't need to be aggressive in that situation.
And we were talking a fair amount about whose team comp we thought was actually better late game, and I think we were, Solo and I, agreeing that the TSM one had a lot of tools to deal with what 100 Thieves can do with like the Syndra and stuff and the Zilean to counter, and then you have the Trundle for the Olaf, but it didn't work out like that.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of instances where TSM had pressure, but they were not able to do this. This was a really bad move there because the Olaf has ultimate, so credit to Anda to making that steal, but after this is where you really get to see the lack of TSM synergy.
Yeah, the thing that surprised me about the Baron is you have this Ryze, and you're kind of late game with an Earth Drake. I'm surprised they didn't use the Ryze ultimate to just get to Baron after you push out mid wave all the way.
Yeah, that plus the fact that came after a skirmish that broke out, you know, after when they picked Aphromoo, and I just don't think anyone's tracking things on TSM
This
side.
is comical. Watch Grig walk into the Ryze ult, and then he gets Ryze ulted right back in. He did not want to go there. Not that it decided the fight by any means. I think the fight was likely over in 100 favor, but
it was just one of those things where like TSM actually looked pretty good for like the first 30 minutes of the game, but then like once the first thing went wrong, it just kept going wrong for them. And here, Aphromoo mostly playing distraction duty because the people in the mid lane were going to end the game. So maybe not the cleanest ending, you know, Ryu's going to drop one more time. But
I think the big thing for TSM is they need to pick a comp that just has really easy, like clear win conditions, because when they're playing something like this, you could tell that the wheels are starting to fall off as soon as things become a little difficult. And, you know, they make the one Baron mistake, and then the game is just a complete disaster, snowballing out of control.
Well, we already took a quick look. Let's take another look at a few of those moments where the wheels started to fall off the wagon for TSM. 31 minutes in, this Baron again.
I think the big thing is no one's tracked Onda's ultimate. So when they go for this force, they don't look to turn off. They actually try and peel back to the Baron. That's actually a fine call if when they picked Aphromoo prior, anyone had actually tracked Onda's ultimate. But I don't think anyone had any clue that his ultimate was still up. And then Onda just charges into the pit for free, gets it. And then afterwards, I think they're like, oh, maybe we can clean up some Baron buffs off these guys. They're all low HP. But they're just not able to execute together at all. As Sven's charging into a group of 3, the other people are 2-man Ryze ultimate because Hauntzer didn't even take his own Ryze ultimate. It just goes completely wrong.
Yeah, and to me, that's just TSM making a bunch of different calls at the same time, like Zven calling out, chase this guy, whereas Hauntzer and Bjergsen are probably trying to make the play on the top side. And we've seen this from TSM the whole year, still clearly not cleaned up.
No, definitely not. One other kind of example of that maybe lack of communication for TSM. This one, 36 minutes into the game, it's going to end up a 3-0 in favor of 100 Thieves, but watch what Grig is doing.
Mark was livid about this.
I was livid. Like, you have a minion wave coming into the mid lane. He blast cones over the wall into the river, and then everyone that's pushed up starts getting engaged on. Where's your Trundle? Why is he in the river?
So he actually finishes the Scuttle Crab.
So he does get the crab, gets a level
did
up.
Get the goal.
And this is after they killed people with Baron buff to stall out the Baron buff push from 100 Thieves. This goes catastrophically wrong, and they're going to lose both their inhibitors. So when you look at the Baron power play, you heard the caster saying it was a 6K Baron power play. But it's only because they messed up after they defended the Baron.
And they picked Alistar right before that, so it was 5v4.
It was a 5v4, exactly. It was just disaster. It was so painful to watch.
Well, that's, exactly. Mark, as a former coach, definitely sitting there wondering, what the heck could have been done different. Well, actually, no, not wondering, knowing what could have been done differently there in that situation to avoid the defeat. But at the end of the day, a 39-minute game, close to 40 minutes here for 100 Thieves coming out on top. That is, to some degree, in alignment with what we expected, that if the games did go to this point, 100 Thieves would have a higher likelihood of winning. But that's where I now want to turn the tables and ask the question, what could have been done differently in this game, or what needs to be done differently for TSM to get ahead? Zilean pick for Bjergsen is one of the things I'm looking at.
I think you definitely want him on a playmaker. I thought the Aurelia ban in Phase 2 was really good by 100 Thieves because I think that would have been Bjergsen's move. He was great on Zilean. Like, his Zilean was really good, but the team itself needs him on something more proactive. I think we're going to get the roster for 100 Thieves in soon. If it's Rikara again, I think you have to ban GP away from Ssumday because you also want to eliminate the other team's win conditions. But those are the two biggest takeaways towards next game because I think it was actually really close.
Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen's skill shot accuracy on Zilean was actually amazing. The problem is you can't follow that up. You throw both your bombs, you're like, haha, I'm so accurate. And then it's like, okay, but you have no kill threat without anyone else's help. And I think that's why there's such that discrepancy in win rate with Bjergsen on playmaker / assassins and Bjergsen on Zilean. It's just, you can't follow your own plays.
Well, as well, we've talked about just kind of the importance of execution around a Zilean pick. We saw it with C9, that when it goes well and is communicated well, man, it can be
Cody's
oppressive.
coming in.
And when it's not, it's not. And in this situation, if we think that one of TSM's big missteps is their ability to communicate, then go figure, Zilean might not be the ideal pick. As you guys already mentioned, and as we see Cody Sun loading up on stage, of course, gonna go check his settings, make sure he's good to go. 100 Thieves has made this decision even in the face of a Rikara win.
I thought Rikara did very well there. He was up on CS and had a bunch of Jhin games. But as they're saying, you want to be able to give TSM different looks. I feel like that look that 100 Thieves showed can be stopped by banning Gangplank. That's a very easy fix. So if you are going to go late game, having the more practiced, seasoned late game damage threat in Cody, I think is 100 Thieves' better roster.
With that, TSM has also elected to go to blue side. So any thoughts on how this continues to develop in Champion Select with the swapping sides?
I think we'll 100% see the GP ban. That's first off. And then I think that, I think TSM's bot lane should maybe play something a little bit more aggressive than just playing Kai'Sa and just farming for lates. I think they are a good 2v2, and I think they can actually build leads through that and find another avenue to win games besides just Bjergsen, winning lane or trying to make plays on his own.
What was interesting to me was that a lot of the things that we identified as power picks before the series were not power picked in the first game. So when you go over to blue side, there's nothing that jumps off the page to me. It's like, this is what they're targeting on blue side that they want. So I'm a little curious to see what they end up first picking.
It will be very telling, whatever they take first as a priority. 100 Thieves found their first win on the big stage. See if they can, they can come back to TSM and encounter Game 2 after the break.
Oakland's starting to come alive as 100 Thieves vs TSM will kick off in game number 1. Oh, Zven flashed in. Yeah, he's going to try and make something happen. Cannon barrage to try and protect himself. Ssumday, though, does get over the wall, but banging to fall with the killer instinct. And Bjergsen, he's ready to go. Bottom lane, though, Hauntzer, goodbye. Good barrel chain up to Aphromoo. Finds the Paul Ross on the other side as Mithy. He's able to go down. There's a bunch of Rikara. And Ssumday grabs the double into the pick. He steals the Baron away from Grig. Ssumday going to try and keep fighting. Hauntzer down the bullet flag. Rikara saving the end of the fight. And he stole the Baron. And TSM get ace. Are you kidding me? Zven eating a lot of damage. Hauntzer trying to get Grig into the backline. Look to take them down. Zven cutting out of the way. Still alive. But now Andy going to run in with the Ragnarok. With Zven actually keeping him out of there. So Rikara takes a big dump. But he flashes over. Last bullet. Finds Zven. 100 Thieves will take game number 1. Boy, oh boy, is this the way to kick things off here for any LCS Finals weekend.
Welcome back to Assist of the Week. During the 100 Thieves and Team Liquid semifinal match, Team Liquid were quickly closing in on a victory. All they needed was a little push, and Ole gave his team exactly that. With an excellent death sentence on Ryu, Team Liquid capitalized and decimated 100 Thieves. With the whole team down, Team Liquid secured not only the victory, but a spot in the NALCS Finals and the 2018 World Championship.
They'll get the chance. Team Liquid will find themselves on the final stage in Oakland.
The sub above difference is daily, not shredded last night or baked yesterday afternoon. Good ingredients, prepped fresh every day. Because that's what daily means. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.